Ladies and gents, welcome back to Zwift Monthly Races. This time we are doing Fine and Sandy, new series of Zwift Monthly Races. Welcome back to the What Life. Right, we are going racing, 10 seconds to go. Let's roll, guys. A few things, bits of info about the course. Zwift has this down as 23.6 kilometers. But obviously on the race map, and I'm pretty sure it's closer to 19 miles, which makes that about 30k. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. That was the info based on the Zwift website when you book into the race. So it's Wednesday morning. I've actually had a few days off. This is not the most Swifty of Swifty starts. We are Cat C, just a heads up. I did a couple of Cat B races. My legs got torn off. I wasn't really in the right condition to be doing them, and I really struggled, so I've dropped back down to Cat C. This is a longer race, guys, and longer actually means a little bit more calm, which actually plays to my style, and by style I mean cycling ability, and cycling ability I mean lack thereof. Slightly new to cycling, so kind of I'm just on a massive learning curve with everything, but I am really enjoying it, and that's the key point. So we're Cat C. We start off with quite a big group, which is actually quite nice. The total number of riders in this Zwift monthly race was 42. Obviously less riders mean a slightly more gentle pace. It means that when the pace comes off a little bit, it's a bit more relaxing. You know, the highs aren't quite as high and the lows are a little bit lower. So it's quite nice when there's only 40 odd people in a Zwift monthly race. And you will see how this one pans out, even if I do fast forward a little bit here and there, because it's 19 miles, so it ends up being a 50-minute race. I'm not going to tease you with anything. My Zwift drops connection at 43 minutes into a 50-odd minute race, which was heartbreaking because we whittled down the group from 14, and I think it was like 8 at the time, and then I was in the 5 at the front on the last climb. But I'm going to talk you through the race anyway, and you can decide whether I had half a chance at doing any good in it or not. So off the start, you can see on the mini-map top right that there is a slightly decent bunch of us, and then you can obviously see that all the riders come into shot here, and there's 20 odd, 24, 25 people maybe in the front group, which is great. Give a little bit of info about the course. Is the section that we're just about to do now is the climb. And fundamentally, this is 3 loops of this course. Fine and Sandy, 3 loops, 30 odd K, 19 point something miles. It's up this climb twice each lap. So you do this climb 6 times, and then basically it's flat in between. You do it at the beginning of the lap and then towards the end of the lap. So this is the only elevation, this is the only part of the route that is going to separate the riders, which is really good to know, because this is the point that's like pivotal. You have to do it at the beginning of the lap and you have to do it at the end of the lap. Very important to remember that. If you're going to do it, this is the point that you need to focus, that you need to get good position. This is the only thing you need to worry about on this course. It tends to slow down, certainly in Cat C, it slowed down for the middle section. I rode this first one pretty well. You can see my wattage is, I try and hold anything between 300 to 350 up this climb just to stay with the group. It's a slightly bigger group on the first climb, so I wasn't too worried about being at the front. I kind of had a suspicion that it would all come back together once we got to the top. But it was good to know, and I haven't ridden this course before, so the first lap was very much about just finding out what was going on, the details of the route, and what I needed to do. And this is when I figured out that we go up this climb twice, and we do it at the start and the end of a lap, and that's all I kind of really needed to worry about. The rest was quite simple. But when it comes to Zwift cutting out and kind of really messing up my chances of riding this race and finishing it, you'll see just how at what kind of pivotal point it actually happens. And honestly, guys, it's heartbreaking, especially once you're 43 minutes into a race. The other thing that I'm really happy with, guys, if you've been following along, you might have noticed my heart rate in some of my last few races would drop down to 120, and I couldn't really get it over 155. I've had 4 days of not really riding. Well, I haven't ridden at all in 4 days. I spent 2 of those out in the Alps with work, where we just did a little bit of light hiking and a little bit of jogging. And then I spent 2 days doing absolutely nothing. The last 2 days I haven't done a thing. And it's really great to see that my heart rate is now, or my CNS, my body is recovered to the point where my heart rate is now fluctuating again. So it's back up into, I start hitting the 170s, 174s, whereas previously I couldn't get it over 160 or 164, 165 at the absolute most because I was very fatigued. So that's great to see, and that's a lesson to everyone. If you are struggling to see your heart rate rise, despite you feeling like you're putting the effort in, then that's a massive sign of fatigue, and a few days off will really help. So coming into this, I guess the way to describe it was that I was actually feeling quite good, which makes me think that I had half a chance at this race, at certainly doing reasonably well. And I think the reason for racing Cat C over Cat B is I wasn't sure about the course. It's slightly longer than a normal Zwift race, so this is obviously 30k. Some of the others have been, under 20k, or certainly under 20k. So I didn't really know what to expect, and I found that it was a smoother ride. And the one thing I tried to focus on was making sure that I didn't spike my watts, didn't spike my heart rate, trying to stay with the, doing too much within the group, which was, a really good lesson, and it's a huge bit of advice when it comes to kind of how to ride in the Zwift universe. And I found this a significantly more calming experience on a bike than, let's say, crit racing or something like that. So I did enjoy it, and it was slightly different. I found that there are 2 power-ups each lap, not massively pivotal on the first 2 loops unless you want to use them on the climb, in which case they can save you a bit of kind of energy and bit of effort. And I definitely recommend holding back on using them only for the climb, and then maybe for a bit of recovery. I'm pretty sure that most of the front group everyone was using road bikes. I don't think anyone was wearing gravel bikes. By the time we whittle it down to 8 in the front group, which you will see in a second, we've had 4 Tron bikes, and then 4 guys just on road bikes. So here we go, back into the climb for what would be the second time on the first lap. And then you will see that I tried to ride these a little bit smoother and just kind of made sure my positioning was quite good. Always felt like, on the first lap, I felt like I just had to kind of be in touching distance of the front. I didn't have to be at the front. So just kind of holding on to it, and you'll see that some of these climbs, I probably put the average power up these climbs for me at about 335, just within that range, because that was kind of what all I really needed to do to stay with the front group, and it was certainly enough. Any solo riders up front, I was happy just to leave be. Zwift Dynamics would definitely bring them back to us if we rode with a group. But just to tee us up for the last lap, because I'm going to miss out the second lap on this course, given that Zwift crashes on me. And this is the first time Zwift's ever crashed on me, and in part it might be because I'm screen recording at the same time. But there is basically what you see in the little video of me cycling and what you see on screen, it's completely different. I lose about 14 seconds where I have no connection to Zwift. But obviously in the screen recording, it just cuts from cycling with the group, and then it kind of immediately shows me kind of just getting dropped back. So you probably don't realize that there's 14 seconds missing. In that 14 seconds, I didn't know whether the wattage I was putting down was actually continuing. I didn't know whether the game itself was going to completely crash. So I carried on cycling, but probably not hard enough. Now, the place that it crashed was absolutely pivotal, because what happened was we did the climb on the last lap for the first time. So this is climb 5. Absolutely pivotal place. And my positioning for it was pretty good. So here we go, guys. There's 8 of us in this front pack, right? And we are coming into the last climb on the second last climb on the last lap. So we're going to do this twice. My main concern here is we've been cycling for 38 minutes at this point, guys. So we've obviously cut off the whole second lap. Not a huge amount kind of happens. I just kind of dialed in my climb and how I wanted to do it, and trying to be nice and smooth with it. And I realized the best thing I can do is get a good position at the bottom, ramp up my watts gently, and then try and hold it around the 350, 360 mark. So with 8 of us in this, I just wanted to make sure on the last lap that no one did anything silly and rode off the front, and I wasn't in the game. So coming into the climb, I got a reasonably good position, just sat behind a few guys, build the watts up, and then I just try and hold it and make sure no one rides off the front, leaving me behind. And personally, I think my positioning is really good. Now, please keep an eye on my heart rate as it just gently builds. I'm really happy to see my heart, my central nervous system, my body functioning as it should. Like 163, 164, 165, gently we go up as the wattage increases. And hopefully you guys can agree that my positioning on this climb was pretty good, right? If you are front or thereabouts, aero doesn't really matter. Some guy uses his feather. I'm not too worried about that because I had a feeling that he wasn't necessarily riding hard, but I rode with him or there or thereabouts. Didn't really need to hold his wheel. A few of the guys come back through and I just needed to make sure I was in that front bunch. Some info about the race because I did check it at the end. I think it was a group of 5 that finished together, 4 or 5. And that's basically these guys in front of me now. So we're riding up the finish and I am just putting in a few watts to make sure I stay in the front group. If there was ever a time that you didn't want Zwift to crash, it would be now. So lo and behold, what happens whilst I'm putting out 350, 300 odd, 370, 400 watts is Zwift crashes and then the group moves away. So you'll see that like instantaneously the group just disappears on the screen. There's now a discrepancy between what you are seeing me cycling in the bottom left and what's on the screen. About 14 seconds were lost. Turns out that I was still putting some watts down, so it didn't completely drop. I tried my best to put in a bit of an effort, but on a downhill going at 30 miles an hour to catch a group, you know, the effort you've got to put in is significantly more. Catching people on a downhill is quite hard because, you know, 2 miles an hour as a percentage of 30 miles an hour is a lot smaller than a 2 mile an hour difference at percentage of 10 miles an hour when you're going up a hill. So this really hurt, and then obviously my heart rate hit 172, 171, 173. So I'm absolutely delighted to see that, especially whilst we're not on the finish line. I gave it my best, guys, to kind of half catch the group. I didn't really see myself coming back. You can see the group separate up ahead to the front 5 and then the back 4 or 3, back 3. And then there's me off the back. So that was my race kind of ruined after the first climb on the last lap. So bitterly disappointed, guys. What do you think? Did I have half a shot at riding this one well and coming off on the finish line? I kind of thought I did. Thanks, guys.